Hello, Namaskar, Vanakkam. Welcome to the Ask Me Anything session 2. I hope आपने पहला session already देख लिया है in which I dealt with a significant number of questions. 15 थे, 20 थे. I don't quite recall. This one again has 20 questions which have been asked by students like you, class 9, class 10, class 11, class 12. So all kinds of questions. So please bear with me. Important, informative session. It will be for all of you. So let's get started without wasting a moment. ISC class 11 and 12 English literature mentions a word limit of 100 to 150 words for 5-mark questions and 200 to 250 words for 10-mark question answers. Should we stick to the word limit? Obviously, yes, sir. You will have to stick to the word limit, which is why this word limit has been prescribed. And I can tell you that when I was writing these answers for the test series that we have on the Study with Sudhir app for the batch of 2025, I found that 250 words is more than enough for a 10-mark answer. Yani ki you are able to include all the points in a 250 word answer. The same goes for 100 to 150. It could be 105, it could be 145. No problem. 152, 155 also will be acceptable. But if you are going to write 250 words for a 5-mark question answer, you will only be spending more time. So my advice to you would be stick to what is asked in the question. It will be a very pointed question. So stick to that word limit and stick to what is asked in the question and stick to the word limit. It would be advisable so that you are also able to finish the entire examination in time. So this is as far as question number 1 is concerned. This has been asked by a number of students. This is again about ISC class 12. Should I know of key phrases from Act 1 and Act 2 of Macbeth? Well, you don't really need to, but you please realize that when William Shakespeare wrote the play Macbeth, he did not think 1 and 2 act will be studied by class 11 students of ISC and 3, 4, 5 by class 12 students. Obviously, he did not divide it like that. The way the murder of King Duncan takes place, obviously you need to know, because that's what is casting a shadow over events that take place in Act 3, Act 4 and Act 5, isn't it? So you need to know what the witches said. I'm not saying that you need to know everything, but it would really help. See, if you use a keyword or a key phrase from Act 1 or Act 2 in an answer which is pertaining to, let's say, Act 3 or Act 5, the examiner is not going to cut marks. On the contrary, the examiner will be impressed that the student remembers what he studied last year. So it won't be a negative for sure. So if you are able to remember key phrases used by the witches, used by Macbeth, used by Lady Macbeth, like the milk of human kindness, all that will be of advantage to you. You can definitely weave it in your answers in Act 3, Act 4 and Act 5. But even if you don't do, that's not a problem. If you do, it's an advantage. Okay. In book review, can I write a review of a self-help book? This is a question which was asked to me this morning. Therefore, I've included this and I've already answered the student. Yes, you can. And what do you mean by self-help books? For example, I took out one of the self-help books that I have in my library. You Can Win. Now, this is one of the best sellers by Shiv Khera, self-help, which talks about, how do you wire your mindset? How do you improve your communication skills? How do you improve your interpersonal skills and stuff like that? So this is a self-help book. You can definitely write a review of this, or let's say something like this, which I bought just a few days back. Fascinating book. And one of the quotes which is there on the back cover of this book really fascinated me, because it says, inspiration is perishable. Inspiration, I've not read the book completely because I just got it 4 days back. I've been reading other books. I bought about 7 books together. Inspiration is perishable, which means that you get inspired. People keep saying, put a motivation video, but it's a perishable commodity, because you may get inspired, you may get motivated for a while, but after a while, it's like a tomato, which, you cannot use a tomato after 10 days, even if you've refrigerated. So similarly, inspiration is also a perishable commodity. Very interesting stuff out here in this particular book, talking about understanding yourself, talking about the need to focus on yourself. There is a very fascinating, I don't know whether I have it on the bookmark here, yes, which says about how marketing, I'm sorry to go about this, but I found this very fascinating stuff about how marketing is not supposed to be a department. Accounting is the department, but marketing is something you do every time you communicate with someone else, on the phone, during your morning walk, during any conversations in the car or any form of transport. Everything is marketing. So I found it very fascinating the way he says everything is marketing. Marketing is not a department. I'm sorry. So to come back to question, this was asked by someone called Navneet. See, it's like this. In a self-help book, you would have limited things of to write. While you may pick out interesting stuff like this and highlight them, but you may have limited. There would be some examiners, I suspect, who would prefer a fiction, because in fiction you can write about the storytelling, you can write about the style of storytelling, you can write about the plot, you can write about the characters, you can write about the themes. So in that sense, you have much more to talk about in a book review, right? For example, the book that I'm reading right now is a thriller called The Co-Worker by Frida McFadden. I've read about 100 pages of it so far. Quite fascinating. And one of the styles that she has used in this particular book is uh, the use of email, the use of somebody has gone missing. Okay, but you are being told about the kind of emails that she sent to her friend, and through that the story plot is taken forward. Now that's a very interesting, it gave me ideas, about, okay, this is a slightly different way. I have not read it ever in any book so far. Different way of dealing with the suspense and the mystery. So that's the kind of thing that you need to bring out in a book review. So for those of you in ISC, sorry to have gone a little long on this, but I always get a little excited when talking about books. Anyway, I thought I was good at English grammar, but I'm not scoring high marks in the SWS English grammar test. How do I improve my score? Now this student was talking about, and this is a problem which a few other students have also pointed out. It's not because the SWS grammar tests are so tough. No, it's because you are not clear about the basics of English grammar, and unless your foundation is strong, you will make mistakes, you will commit errors, you will not be able to distinguish between option A and option B, or option C and option D. That kind of an issue will come. So the basics have to be strong. Of course, I'm not doing any course this time, but I will be doing a grammar series ahead of the examination. So that is something which is coming up. I'm still preparing, doing work on it, a lot of work going into it. So this is as far as, see, there are the SWS grammar tests, 25 of them for ICSC 9th and 10th, and 20 of them for ISC class 11 and 12. Please test yourself on those grammar tests. You test yourselves on those grammar tests more than enough, provided you know the basics. Uske baad, if you test it and the answer key, in many cases I've also given explanation wherever necessary. Wherever I think it's a bit of a googly, usme maine explanation bhi likha hai. But these are original questions. They are not just PYQs picked up from somewhere like many others do. Okay, so this is something which you need to do in order to do well in the grammar test. And these are all things which you can do on the PC. Please don't ask me for downloads. Downloads are not allowed, because I want you to solve on the PC in one go, not like, ye karo and usko WhatsApp pe distribute karo. Please respect original work that is going in. Otherwise, books ko idhar udhar, I mean, I know how books are prepared, idhar udhar se mal nikala, dal diya kind of thing. And one of the reasons for that also is that because people do this kind of thing, so people, even authors don't put in that effort, because malum hai log is tarah se karenge. So when someone is doing original work, please respect the work that has gone into it. How do I prepare myself for competency-based questions in English literature? Good question. You need to, and someone also asked me whether the same competency-focused questions which are there in the item bank will come in the test paper. How can anyone predict that? The idea is to ensure that you know the kind of pattern and the style of questions that will be asked. Okay, so when we do the revision, all that will be highlighted. But for now, all I want to say is that competency focused questions are essentially questions which will test your understanding. And for the nth time, I am saying, at least now, if you are hell-bent on understanding things, literature in the vernacular language, I can only pity you, because you will not be able to, and I say not with capital, in capital letters underlined, In the examination hall, you will waste precious time thinking in Hindi, thinking in Tamil, thinking in Bengali, and translating it into English and wasting precious time. Please don't do that. You will not be able to use the keywords. Your answers will look absolutely mediocre and you will lose marks. Uske baad रो के फायदा नहीं है कि अरे मेरे को पता नहीं था. Someone wrote a very rude comment 2 days back saying that, oh, this scene you have taken 1 hour. Please, you can go to any other place where it is available in 15 minutes. But I will do every line, every word in detail. That's my style. Don't like it? It's a free country. Please go anywhere, no problem. But I will do my job honestly. I don't believe in taking shortcuts. That's not the way ICSE and ISC is meant to be. I do it thoroughly. That's my style. Okay? En worry, tani worry, like Rajnikant says. Okay, so this is the thing. So preparing yourself, understand, or understand tabhi hoga jab you will be able to understand it using the language which will be written, which will be used in the exam paper. What kind of competency-based questions can be expected in civics? Great question. Civics is about understanding and application. अगर civics को आप रट्टा मार के लिखने वाले हैं एग्जाम में, नहीं होगा. You will need to understand. Please try to understand. Just this morning, I told my students on the History Civics course, please read the newspapers, main page, and any news story relating to the Prime Minister, the Judiciary, Supreme Court, High Court, the President, Parliament, MPs, MLAs. Please read all those news items so that you're familiar, because I find students are so unfamiliar with the way the entire framework of governance is in this country. So please get more familiar. When you read stories, you will be more familiar with all those items. Abhi budget present hone wala hai 1st of February ko. Please read some of the news stories around the budget so that you know what it is all about. This is GK, and civics is all about an extension of GK. It is the base of GK. So you need to know all that. So competency focused questions of civics, you will be able to handle provided you understand. And understanding comes not by rote learning. Understanding comes the way I teach about making you understand with the help of lots of examples, real life examples, so that you are able to relate. Oh, this is how it happened. Why did it happen? Because of this rule. But in this case, this did not happen because this is an exception. So unless your teacher is able to explain to you with the help of lot of real life examples which have happened in India, in Indian democracy, you will be struggling. So please ensure that at least now in the last mile, please get your act together as far as civics is concerned. What happens if I do not understand the picture in the picture-based question in history? Okay, now picture-based questions pehle kya hote the? You would get basically directly from the textbook. Now, no longer. You will be getting caricatures, you will be getting newspaper headlines, you will be getting cartoons, you will be getting different photographs. So the need is to ensure that you know and understand and recognize all the key figures in the Indian freedom movement, in world history. You need to know. So you need to know what Bal Gangadhar Tilak looked like. Do not confuse him with Gopalakrishna Gokhale. Please ensure that you know what Dadabhai Naroji looked like. Do not confuse him with anyone else. Do know how Lord Curzon looked like, how Lord Dalhousie looked like, how Lord Lytton looked like. So if you know all those people, you will not have a confusion. So that is important. So in your textbook, please see the photograph very clearly so that unka agar ek caricature, illustration, cartoon bhi banaya gaya ho, you will still be able to recognize the person in the particular illustration or cartoon or caricature. What should be my approach to physics in class 10? Now, as far as physics is concerned, it has always been the paper which has caused the maximum angst to ICSE class 10 students. हर साल फिजिक्स में ही आकर स्पीड ब्रेकर लगता है. जनरली शुरू में इंग्लिश लैंग्वेज में थोड़ा सा लगता है, उसके बाद जियोग्राफी में लगता है, और फिजिक्स में तो जरूर लगता है. ओके, फिजिक्स में the approach should be to again understand, because if you are going to rote learning will not work. Physics में two things you need to bear in mind. One, the formulae, then how different kinds of machines or electrical instruments, how they work, the real intricate understanding of how they work. And point number three, practice as many numericals as possible, and please do not look to do ordinary mediocre level numericals. Even if they are of a slightly higher level, chalta hai, then you can do the easier ones, but test yourself on numericals which are going to not be straight lollipop kind of numericals, जिसमें कि आपको दिमाग लगाना पड़ेगा. Physics is going to be and has always been the most tricky paper. Do not expect it to be any different this time. So physics understanding is key. There is no other mantra, there is no other formula to get 100 out of 100 in physics, which is possible. But students, even the most brilliant students, sometimes end up at 97, 98, 96, 95 because they end up making silly mistakes, because they are overconfident, because they are fed on very mediocre quality sample paper questions which do not really prepare them well enough for the final board examination. That's required. So what you need to do is to have a teacher. Textbook ज्ञान is not going to work. Textbook ज्ञान is to know the basics. उस बेसिक्स को कैसे एप्लीकेशन करना है, that's what you need to do. For example, look at a video that Sudhir Sir had done on the fourth chapter last year. Just a one shot video, छोटा सा video है, but look at how he explained with the help of examples. That's the kind of teacher you need for physics. Will the maths paper be tough since we will be given an extra half an hour? Well, I don't want to make any prediction, but what I can tell you is that, see, tough, what I may find tough, you may find very easy, and the other way around. I feel that paper will not be tough, but paper can be a little tricky, and there will be some questions which will need more time for you to solve. You will need to apply your mind a little more rigorously, and that's when you will be able to get the solution. So when it takes a little more time, you may find that, oh, paper bahut tough tha. Paper tough nahi hoga, but because they have given you that extra half hour, they will want to ensure that at least a few questions, I'm not saying the entire paper, if handful of questions will require more time for you to solve. Please remember, in mathematics, ensure that you do every step and show every step, because steps ke bhi marks milte hain. So ensure that you show every step. Don't be in a hurry to reach the solution. That's something which is key. Which poems and stories from treasure chest can we leave out? 0. I will never advise you to leave out any poem. 5 poem hai, 5 stories hai. Some of them are delightful. The stories are all delightful. Poems are also, at least 3 out of the 5 poems are nice. So please do not leave out any poems and stories in your own interest. इस तरह की लॉटरी करने की जरूरत नहीं है. Okay, I will not advise this at all. Can I leave out Act 5 in Julius Caesar and study only Act 3 and 4? Entirely up to you. Very similar question. See, because Act 5, maybe Act 5 scene 1 is important, scene 3 is important. See, the thing is that there are always scene 3 and scene 5, Act 5 ka, Cassius suicide, Brutus suicide. So these scenes are important. So I will not advise you to leave out entire Act 5. Act 3, of course, the most important. Act 4, scene 3, very important. I've already mentioned that in a Instagram reel and on YouTube shorts. The scenes which I think are very important, which you should definitely study. But I know sometimes the board tries to be a little clever and gives you a reference to context from a very, very ordinary scene, which you think ye to aayega hi nahi. Between minor characters. The board did that in 2019 or 20 from a very involving minor characters from the Merchant of Venice. जब वो Merchant of Venice पढ़ाया जाता था. So the board has done that. I think they may not do that in the first year itself, but definitely the scenes that I mentioned, don't leave them out, especially Act 5 scene 3 and Act 5 scene 5. I will prepare 6 chapters in geography. Okay. How do I prepare for MCQs from the remaining 3 chapters? Ensure that you know all the fact-based stuff. The fact-based stuff. For example, if you are planning to leave out, let's say, the transport chapter, you need to still know the Golden Quadrilateral, what does it do, about the expressways, the main national highways, the waterways, the role of the roadways. Or if you're leaving out the agriculture chapter, you ought to know, okay, what is required for the growing of cotton, what is required for the growing of paddy, rice, wheat, millets, etc., coffee, tea, which are the main states where it is growing. So all those kind of fact-based details you need to know, because usi mein se question aayega as far as MCQs are concerned. What's the best way to prepare Julius Caesar? The best way to prepare Julius Caesar is to understand each and every word and line, because you get reference to context questions, and when you get reference to context questions, it is not just the same passage that is being spoken about. You need to know what happens before this passage, what happens after this passage, what happens in the entire scene, and how is this passage relevant in the context of the entire play. So you need to know all these four things apart from the every word and line. So that is possible only if you learn it like that. If you know the corresponding synonyms to use while you're explaining a particular line. That's why I say, if you have understood it in a vernacular language, you will struggle. And I'm telling this to you time and again in your own interest, because regret is a very ugly word. Regret, baad mein pachtaane se, you feel miserable. And I don't want you to feel miserable. So please understand it in English so that you are able to use the synonyms when you are explaining a particular line in the best way possible. Why would you want to get only 1 out of 2 marks and not 2 out of 2 marks? English literature, you can score 80 on 80. Do not miss out on that. There are so many of our students who have done that. There is no reason why you cannot score 80 on 80 in English literature paper. So that's the best way to understand Julius Caesar. Do these 4 things, plus understand every word and line. You will be absolutely safe. My teacher tells me it's not possible to score more than 16 on 20 in composition. That is the highest in our class. I got 12 on 20 in half yearly and 9 on 20 in the first pre-boards. What do I do? This is not correct. I know of students, many of our students got 19 on 20. That's very much possible. So it is not that you do not get 16 out of 20. The teacher may be doing it for his or her own reasons. I don't want to get into that. It is possible if you follow. I have done a video in which I have spoken about every essay, what you need to do. Please follow that. Otherwise, there is this book of mine, for ISC, but equally useful for ICSE, especially if you are planning to attempt the narrative or the descriptive essays. Isme, there are a lot of quality essays of that category, definitely. The ICSE 9th and 10th class book is sold out. I've been saying this for the last 3 months. It's sold out, no more available. But this is the book which is available on Amazon, which you can pick up. Do pick up, and especially if you are planning to stay on in ISC, this is a book which you should definitely buy right away, because agle 2 saal bhi iske kaam aayenge. So that is something. Please see that video. It provides great clarity on what you should do to increase this score. 12 out of 20 and 9 out of 20, sorry to say, not a good score. Not a good score. You should be able to take it further. But for that, if you are going to write ordinary essays, not going to work. If someone tells you ki exam mein jaake jo pasand aaye likh lena, not going to work. Every style, narrative, descriptive, argumentative, original story, everything has a different way of writing. A different approach is required. So please ensure you have that. My teacher gives us 20 on 20 now. Are we so good? Isme bhi khatra hai. इससे क्या होगा? You will all get into it with a lot of overconfidence. I hope you are very good and you deserve that 20 on 20. But I would advise caution. I would advise a sense of a reality check. You need to be sure that what you're doing is the right way. Keep it simple. There is absolutely no need to use very flowery language. Keep it simple, but just ensure that your essay is very engaging. कि उसको पढ़ने में मजा आए. ये नहीं कि क्या बोर लिखा है. That should not be the sense. So when you read it again yourself, or you show it to someone maybe in your family, an elder brother or elder sister, they should be able to give you a reality check on whether it is really engaging or not. There are just too many questions asked in biology. What should be my strategy? Yes, biology is one paper where there are lots of questions asked. 1 mark, 2 mark के questions काफी पूछे जाते हैं. So what happens is that you cannot leave out even the most minute detail as far as bio is concerned. You need to ensure that you're very thorough in your preparation. So please keep underlining when you go with your textbook. The best thing, after you have understood, stick to your Selena or whichever textbook you follow. Just follow that and keep underlining even the most minute detail. You will do well, because as I said, match the following, fill in the blanks, odd one out, ascending, put it in the right order. All those things will come. So you need to know all that. So there is a lot of detail, much more than any other subject in ICSE. Biology is one paper where you need to know a lot of detail. Okay, I'm very demotivated, help me. See, motivation, I always believe you are the biggest motivator, and one way of motivating oneself always is, if you make tomorrow's program today, excuse me, if you make tomorrow's program, excuse me, if you make tomorrow's program today, उससे क्या होगा कि सुबह सोच उठकर आप नहीं सोचेंगे कि आज मैं क्या करूं. ओके, नो, अपने दोस्त को फोर्स करें, तू क्या कर रहा है, मैं ये कर रहा हूं, तो मैं भी वो करता हूं. दैट्स नॉट द वे टू स्टडी. डू नॉट compete with anyone, compete with yourself. Make your Thursday better than your Wednesday. And how you do that is to plan on Wednesday night, before you call it a day, before you retire to bed. You make your program that morning 6 to 7 o'clock मुझे ये पढ़ना है, बुक्स टेबल पर खोल के रख दो पहले से ही, so that you know the moment you are there, you brush your teeth, had your coffee or tea, you come there and you start studying. Planning and keeping your study space clean itself are the biggest motivation. They should inspire you. उस स्टडी रूम में बैठकर पढ़ने में एक आनंद आना चाहिए. You should look forward to spending time at your table, at your desk. And if you plan yourself well, trust me, that itself acts as a huge motivator. I plan my day. I am not saying anyone is more intelligent, but if you plan your day, first quarter, 6 o'clock to noon, before lunch, I need to finish off this much of work. Post lunch, I need to finish this much. Post 6 p.m., I need to finish this much. You divide your day into 3 parts. It really works. You will never feel demotivated. Don't look for external motivators. Your motivation should come from inside. What is the secret to success? Great question. What is the secret to success? There is no secret formula. There is never any formula. Your success can be that I did better than yesterday. That is being successful. Haven't you seen some jokes and memes, where somebody who gets 99 marks feels sad, whereas someone who got 75 or 80 feels very good. Why? Because the student who has got 80 had got 60 the last time. So that student has made a jump from 60 to 80. This 99 wala student last time got 99, this time also he has got 99, has not been able to go to 100, and therefore he is feeling sorry. So success is always relative. Happiness is always relative. I saw this very beautiful quote yesterday. I will put it out for you here. I found it. It was written by one of my ex-colleagues. He wrote, okay, this is distraction. Okay, now isme se you remove this and you are left with traction. Traction is that, when you get some kind of a momentum, whether you are getting traction somewhere, that's what is called traction. और इसमें से ये भी कर दो, so you are left with action. So all you need to do is to remove the unnecessary words, especially this. इसको निकाल दो. You get traction, but for getting traction also, you need to use action. So essentially, यहां तक पहुंचने के लिए जो भी unnecessary alphabets है उसको रिमूव करने की जरूरत है. That's all it matters. The secret to success is to ensure that जो जरूरी नहीं है उसको साइड में कर दो, उसको परे कर दो, कि अभी मैं नहीं देखूंगा, बाद में देखूंगा, मार्च 24 के बाद देखूंगा. लेकिन as far as now is concerned, you need to focus on action, and action will lead to whatever success you are seeking. Okay, so I found it quite interesting. What is the best way to do word meaning questions in comprehension correctly? I will do a video closer to the examination. Comprehension mein essentially you are being tested on your vocabulary, which is why I always say, I may sound very boring by saying again, books padho, fayda hoga. You will learn new things, right? Every day I read something and I am enlightened by what I read. Please read. If I can do it at my age, so can you. So please do the reading, and I'm sure you're not busy, because I do many more things. This is not my profession. Teaching is not my profession. I do many more things beyond this. So please read, invest in reading. Your vocab will always improve. बुक्स आई मीन कोई न्यू वर्ड्स के बुक से कोई भी वोकैबुलरी इंप्रूव नहीं किया है, वो याद नहीं रहता है. So that's how you improve. But by chance, if you do not know any word, then obviously you have to go back to the passage, see the context in which it has been used, and use an intelligent guess. That's the best advice I can give you. Which subject should I count in best of 5? See, वो सब जब रिजल्ट्स आएगा तब देखा जाएगा. English is a compulsory subject, so it's English plus best of 4, English plus best of 3 as far as 12th is concerned. But essentially English, and that's why I feel sorry when English, not because it's my subject, but English I have seen has taken the overall percentage there. It has also taken you here. So that's the mistake many students make of, okay, we will study the other subjects and stuff like that. But English is something which is you can store, especially in literature. Language, of course, is a continuous process, but with the kind of tips I give, you should be able to do exceedingly well in English language as well. So best of 5, we will talk about it in the month of May when the results are going to come. But right now, focus on all the subjects because each one of them demands and deserves your full attention, 100% attention. I hope this Ask My Anything session was useful. You got the answers to many of your questions. Thank you very much. Tata, bye bye. Till the next session. God bless you. Namaskar.